how to discover your real talent for making money in just 10 minutes and eventually become a millionaire.
Let me say this slowly. I'm over 60 now. And if there's one thing I wish someone had told me when I was younger, it's this. Most people spend their entire lives trying to make money in places where they have no natural talent. They bury what they're actually good at and chase whatever looks profitable at the moment. And that road, it's a dead end. I see it everywhere. Men and women grinding every day, exhausted, frustrated, wondering why nothing ever really takes off.
They blame the economy. They blame their boss. They blame the system.
But the truth is simpler and harder to accept. They're fighting against themselves. Over the years, I've come to believe something very deeply. The price you can charge for your work, your real margin pot, the more clearly you understand what makes you different, the more valuable you become. And most people never do that work. They don't know how to focus. Or worse, men, they focus on the wrong thing. They focus on where money seems to be instead of on what they're actually built for. Their talent is in one place, their paycheck is in another, or doesn't show up at all. When people come to me for advice, the first thing I look at isn't their resume. It isn't their business idea. I look at where they're naturally strong. What do they do better than most people conies without forcing it? And then I help them strip away everything else and put their focus there. Strengthen your strengths. That's the principle. And sooner or later, everyone asks the same question. How do I even know what I'm good at? Here's what I've learned. There are no untalented people. I've never met one. Every person is wired with a specific mix of abilities, temperament, and instincts. Whether you believe in God or just in nature, it doesn't matter. No one is random. You're given certain tools, and you're responsible for how you use them. Not just for money, for your life, for meaning, for whether you end up feeling at peace with yourself. This isn't just about income. It's about living a life that actually feels right. So let me walk you through a process I've seen work again and again. It's simple, but it's not easy. First step, sit down alone. No phone, no noise, just you. And write 3 lists. The first list, what do you want to have? Be honest. Money, a house, a lake cabin, financial security, freedom. Whatever it is, write it down. The second list, who do you want to be? A respected professional, a calm father, a leader, a man people trust. Now the third list, this one matters most. What do you want to do? Not what sounds impressive, not what looks good on paper, not what pays well in theory. What do you actually want to spend your days doing? Here's the key. Take the first 2 lists and put them aside. They're outcomes. They're not goals, mine. They're byproducts.
You don't chase them directly. They come from what you do every single day. Everything starts with that third list. Now comes the reality check. Take what you wrote down and test it. Ask people who know you well, friends, colleagues, family. What do you think I'm genuinely good at? Write their answers down. Then make another list, what you believe you're good at. And then a third one, evidence. Awards, plaques, certificates of achievement, promotions, measurable results. Not opinions, proof. Lay all 3 lists side by side. Where they overlap, that's not a coincidence. That's where your real ability lives. But talent alone isn't enough. Talent that nobody needs won't feed you. You might love snowboarding. You might be amazing at it. That's great. But people won't pay you just to watch you ride. What they need is to learn how to ride themselves. So you translate your talent into value. You teach, you guide, you help others get results. You build something people actually want. That's the filter. What you love, what you're good at, what people need. Then go even deeper. Write down what you think about in every free moment, what topics pull you in without effort, what you keep learning about even when no one is paying you. That's not random curiosity, that's alignment. When you connect all of this, you start to see the shape of your talent. Sometimes it's one thing, sometimes two or three. That's enough.
Only after that do you move on to money. And this is where most people make another fatal mistake. They fall in love with ideas. I want to open a restaurant. I want to start a company. I want to build something big. I always stop them right there. Who said it will work? Just because it worked for someone else in New York or Austin doesn't mean it will work for you. Every situation is different. Every person is different. So, don't call it an idea. Call it a hypothesis. That one word changes everything. A hypothesis can be wrong, and that gives you permission to let go. Ego is what destroys people in business. Ego says, I already decided. I can't back out now. Ego keeps you carrying a suitcase with no handle. Too heavy to keep going, too painful to drop. So you keep pouring time and money into something that's clearly failing, because admitting failure feels worse than the loss itself. When you call it a hypothesis, you step around your ego, quietly, on tiptoe. You test, you watch the numbers, and if the data says you're wrong, you adjust, or you walk away, without drama. And when you're right, when the metrics confirm you're on the right path, the answer is simple. Double down. Focus harder. Pour your energy into what already works and what you're naturally strong at. That's how real wealth is built. Over the years, people have asked me about two very different kinds of men. One guy is 40. He's already tried 7 businesses. He starts, fails, shuts it down, starts again. Another guy is also 40. He's spent 25 years running the same small family operation. It's not huge, it's not scaling fast, but he's content. So, who's right? Both, and neither. The real measure of success isn't revenue, it's happiness. I've met plenty of wealthy men who were miserable, but I've never met a truly happy man who thought of himself as unsuccessful. The man who keeps switching businesses is still searching. He's on the road. He hasn't found his place yet. When he does, he'll feel it. Calm, focus, peace. He'll know exactly where to put his energy. And the man with the small business? If he wakes up without dread, if his work gives him energy instead of draining it, then he's already won. Growth and scale aren't obligations, they're options. If he doesn't need them, he shouldn't chase them just because someone else says he should. One of the foundations of happiness is doing work you genuinely love. Without that, no amount of money fills the gap. When you truly love what you do, the question isn't, how long can I keep this up? It's, how do I stop? I've never met someone deeply engaged in their craft who had to be convinced to grow. Growth happens naturally. Care leads to quality. Quality brings clients. Clients bring expansion. When someone constantly asks, should I scale or not? How do I force growth? That's often a sign they're pushing something they don't really love, trying to compensate with tools instead of alignment. If you're doing work you love with integrity and good intentions, people feel it. They come back. They bring others. Momentum builds on its own. And I know many of you watching this are already doing something you love. If that's you, you know the feeling. A quiet joy, a deep sense that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's real success. And once you experience it, everything else becomes secondary.